2025 XRP Supply Shock is going to be the simple breakdown for you guys here tonight on our live show, where we're going to give you a full market update, explain why some things are not so good, but why we're so bullish on the solution to this debt, currency, and liquidity crisis that's breaking and being exposed for everybody to see. Now, before I get into the update, I want to get a good sound check and make sure that we're dialed in. This morning's first update of the day, the first minute of my video was a little choppy on the mic, and I've made a couple tweaks, and so I'm hoping that the mic sounds great. I want to make sure that everybody got their notification. Can you please let me know, were you notified of tonight's live show? And if you weren't, maybe it's because you're not hitting that notification bell. Maybe you're not subscribed, so we should fix that as well. If you appreciate what we're doing, thank you so much for stopping by. Let's get right on into the update. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. This is no longer speculation, to the extent of we have a window of opportunity here. We have a time frame that could be extended whenever this shutdown wants to end. But when these ETFs do go live, we are going to see inflows. And with conservative assumptions on the inflows and simple math on the multiplier, the market cap multiplier, and what we've seen historically, we can confirm that XRP is going to a much higher price and that a supply shock will ensue this year unless the government shutdown extends until 2026 or the government stays shut down forever, which if that happens, please don't get too upset with me. Please don't get too upset with me is all I ask, okay? Because I know some folks want to crucify us and they want to pin us down to the exact day and hour of the XRP moonshot. We're in the middle of an XRP bull run, still up well over 300% since last year. And we're looking at XRP ETFs amongst other catalysts that are going to drive XRP to substantially higher prices. And this is not a riddle. It's not a decode or a conspiracy theory. It's just now simply looking at how the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs have performed from an inflow perspective, seeing all of the ETFs that are lined up for XRP, knowing that they're about to go live. And we're going to show you here once again, the math is so simple. In the month of November 2024, in that month, we only saw 118 million. I'm checking my math over here on my notepad. If you're wondering why I'm checking over here, I had to go back and confirm this data. 118 million of inflows from November, right? The month of November, and 105 billion of market cap growth. Now that equates to an 883x market cap multiplier over a 1 month period. Many people critique the multiplier and they say, well, it's over a short time frame. You're looking at maybe a 1 day period, a 4-hour period during the liquidation event. I showed you guys how the market cap multiplier on XRP on October 10th was over 1,000x to the downside. So this is what we have to watch out for, right? Is that it works on inflows coming in and price going up. It also works when there's mass FUD and we get selling and people want to leave. Now I want to make sure that the stream's going good here tonight. Does everybody have a good connection? Does the mic sound right? Are we dialed in? Are you still locked in and here with me? Did you survive the largest liquidation event in crypto's history? God bless you if you did. I'm so happy that you're here. And we're going to talk about, once again, how bad some situations are before we get into the good. I'm just here to tell you guys that we're looking at all of these ETFs and now digital asset treasury companies that are going to be locking up this XRP. And this is why I can sit here today and, feel like I'm rightfully titling tonight's video 2025 XRP Supply Shock. That's not a clickbait title. We're going to back that up with data. We're going to show you that this is no longer speculation. The extent that we are speculating is how high are we going to go? How big are the inflows going to be? But even on the most conservative numbers, and I'll just give you the conservative numbers right now so you can confirm that I'm not clickbaiting you. We saw only 118 million of inflows in November 2024. Oh, Trump wins. It's a party. And boy, was it fun to see XRP take off from 50 cents right before the election. Years of holding this sucker. Only 118 million net, meaning money coming in, money going out. What's the net? 118 million. Market cap growth of 105 billion. And you still have the market cap bros and people from traditional finance that can't wrap their mind around the fact that XRP went up to a 200 billion, that the market cap increased by 105 billion in a month. They're still in shock and trying to figure out the math on that one. How is it possible? It's a multiplier of 883. This is not clickbait. If you just put a 100x multiplier, not an 800, a 100x multiplier on, say, 5 to 10 billion of net inflows into XRP when those ETFs go live, which many people think is very reasonable. JP Morgan saying 4 to 8 billion in the first year. Canary Capital CEO saying 5 billion initially, and then his second time on Paul Barron's podcast, he says probably was bearish. We're probably looking at 10 billion. Okay, I like it. I like the conservative assumption from JP Morgan. That's good. JP Morgan's come a long ways. By the way, they're already partnered up with G Treasury, the treasury management company that Ripple acquired. That's right. 5 to 10 billion first month on the bullish side. So whether you think it's going to be 4 to 8 billion like JP Morgan in a year or 5 to 10 billion in a month, either way, I'm just saying slap only a 100x multiplier on that number of inflows. Keep the math simple. Be ridiculously conservative. And what you see is XRP's market cap growing by 500 billion, right? 5 billion times 100. Or if we get 10 billion of inflows times that by 100 for the multiplier, you're looking at $1 trillion of market cap growth for XRP. And when you're over $1 trillion on our market cap with rounding up to 60 billion circulating supply, you're talking about a $17 to $20 XRP. I'll let you guys fact check me on that calculation. But this is why I say this is no longer speculation. It's no longer a riddle, something that needs to be decoded. It's rather simple math at this point. And so we're going to break it down. The situation's not good. We're going to talk about what was really, I think it was a top 10, top 20 blockchain that is now, the company's gone bankrupt and the coin just dumped by 60% today. Lawsuits are dropping everywhere. This is not looking good, but it's part of a bigger problem. We're going to address that. Give me about 10 minutes to address the bad, and then we'll get right back into the bullish. Okay, thank you everybody for stopping by. Here's the situation in the DC dance. The United States government shutdown reaches 21 days, and this started on October 1st. What we're looking at here, federal workers' unpaid and disrupted services, including air travel, nuclear security, and potential SNAP benefits for 3.5 million in Texas. Republicans led by President Donald Trump, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and Senator Leader John Thune have voted 11 times for a clean continuing resolution to reopen operations in D.C. Of course, doing the D.C. dance and blaming Democrats for blocking it. Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chucky Boy Schumer. Yeah, I know some people say I shouldn't call him that. I like to call him Chucky Schumer, demand extension of Affordable Care Act premium subsidies expiring December 31st to prevent cost surging for 20 million enrollees. This is all amid internal GOP rifts and rising public frustration. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt being caused by this government shutdown. I am looking for this shutdown to end sometime in the next couple weeks. Everybody has a varying opinion. This is one of the most staged lawsuits that we've ever seen at this point. We have been through this routine. And the painful part for Main Street is they will play politics for a little bit longer here, right? Because these SNAP benefits, some of these other programs, they're not going to break. We're not going to have serious problems till next month. And President Trump has already taken actions to shore some things up, including getting payments to our troops before it was actually due. See, their payroll was actually due, I believe, on the 15th of October. But instead of waiting for that to transpire and not getting anything done and leaving our troops unpaid, President Trump actually delivered the paychecks early. And that was a big reason why this banking crisis that's starting to show didn't already really take off. And, I want to be careful with my words here, but didn't get exposed further. But we're not done. And this isn't coming from me, just some commentator on YouTube. This is the Bank of England governor warning that recent turmoil in the United States private credit market has worrying echoes of the 2008 subprime crisis. Nothing to see here. Remember, we've been saying, this time, of course, it's different. It's 10 times worse, maybe 100 times. We're talking about the shadow banking class. We're also talking about the derivatives market, the shadow asset class. Now, they've wrapped these things up in 1,000 different ways, rehypothecated it another additional 1,000 times, and we wonder why we can't figure out who owes who what. And now it's starting to break. The margin calls are being delivered. And unfortunately, too, some projects are actually starting to fail. I'm going to show you that after this one here. This is from Sugar XRPL on Twitter. He says silver. I'm not going to read off the rest of his comment, but I do appreciate that, Sugar. That's good. I want to show your chart. Look at this sucker. Okay? It's not done. And it's because, and once again, silver and gold have not topped, because just look at how bad it is with all the derivatives that's getting exposed, the shadow banking, the shadow credit, even private equity starting to crack too in some places. I'm about to show you a crypto company that's just filed for bankruptcy. It's blood in the streets, metaphorically speaking, for now. This is why gold and silver have not topped. Okay? Now, this is the chart. This is the chart here from Sugar. He does some pretty good TA work, actually. And he's got this sucker going to 240, then 500 plus, a 45-year cup and handle. This is a work of art when it comes to technical analysis. This will be studied for decades to follow. And the high side targets, I don't like to predict upside targets on silver because there's just so much manipulation still. I mean, there's still plenty of manipulation in crypto too, but I take my shot at that. We get it right, we get it wrong. People let me know when I get it wrong every time. That's okay. We're happy to own up to that. But I am here to say that the silver top is not in, despite one of the biggest drawdowns in silver since 2021, one of the biggest drawdowns in gold since 2013. We're not done, because on the flip side, the bad scenarios that are playing out, the private credit, private equity, shadow banking, shadow asset class, and derivatives, all of that is still breaking, which is why we're not done to the upside for gold and silver. There's a lot of people that want to fool you into thinking that. And there's a lot of crypto, commentators, that are also quick to jump on this and say, Bitcoin has finally decoupled from gold, even though gold has continued up and to the right, right? And has set new all-time highs here all year long. And yet Bitcoin topped out right there at the beginning of October and has rolled over since. Gold has continued up. Now, I think they're both good assets to invest in for the debasement trade. I think that gold has done very well. In fact, I think it's almost better than Bitcoin this year. I need to make that comparison. I think that Bitcoin's fine too. A lot of our community owns Bitcoin and uses that for the debasement trade. That's fine. I just prefer XRP by hundreds of percent is how much I prefer XRP by. In fact, it's 5 to 100% on a lot of our XRP bag that we acquired at 25 and 30 cents, even lower prices for some of you guys and myself included. And so for the debasement trade, I'd rather take XRP, but I like Bitcoin. I'm rooting for Bitcoin. We love gold. I don't own any. I just own silver. And so what we've been doing is we've been stacking it up. This isn't even a silver coin. This is my Ripple coin. Here's a Canadian maple leaf, though, that I got from one of my Canadian friends. Huge shout out. And this is a Charles, actually. Yeah, Charles, yeah. Maple leaf. I've been stacking up my silver, and that's done tremendously well too. The upside targets there into the triple digits, $100, $200, $500. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And one thing about silver, and I know a lot of people feel the same way as I do, and also feel the same way about gold, is we're just not really going to sell it, right? This is something that we're just going to hold on to. It gives us freedom. It gives us blackout barter is the term that I like to use. Systems go down. AWS goes down yesterday and the whole crypto space is bust. XRP Ledger was fine, by the way. There was no issues on the XRP Ledger. In the interview yesterday with Jim Bazzani, he also confirmed that Caleb and Brown was all fine during the AWS outage. It wasn't a problem. Folks were still able to email their brokers and get orders through. That's good. XRP Ledger was fine too, but this is why we have blackout barter, silver, gold, and other means to trade and barter when the systems go down, or situations get funny. And situations are getting funny. There's a good saying, money makes people funny. And I heard that quite some time ago, and that one's always stuck with me because I've seen so many people in this crypto space get exposed in the 5 years that I've been making content. Obviously, I was getting into crypto when the ICO bust happened in 2018. That is when I was getting into Bitcoin. And then by 2019, I was going into XRP all the way. All in, just cashing out all my Bitcoin all into XRP. And then I've been FOMO buying into XRP since, worried about a supply shock for XRP since then. And like I said, the only way that we don't get a supply shock here in 2025 is if the government stays shut down throughout the rest of this year, which maybe that will happen, right? But this crypto space is getting exposed right now. On one hand, you have Ripple making billion-dollar acquisitions, one deal after another. And then you have all these other crypto companies that can't even get these businesses, these institutions, these banks to pick up the phone, right? I mean, you're talking about some of these crypto guys. If they showed up at the offices of these banks and institutions, they'd be calling security to usher them out. Thanks. Leave your pamphlet at the door on the coffee table. Thank you, sir. We're going to actually have you exit out this way, okay? Crypto bro. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this crypto space is not getting let in the building. Ripple is buying the building. Or in this case, buying the companies, right? 1.25 billion acquisition of Hidden Road. That really got a party going. Prime brokerage platform, the biggest one outside of the banks in the United States of America. And then G Treasury, another Billy. And obviously still flush with cash, still have a lot of XRP. And I think that what happens here is that Ripple's about to unveil all of the U.S. partners that they have as, regulations pass in the United States. It looks like Ripple Swell is going to be a showcase of institutional and bank partners in the U.S. That are ready to come, admit, yes, yeah, we are friends, we are partners with Ripple, and yes, we are using XRP. But on the flip side, like I said, a lot of this space is getting exposed right now. And so, like I said, I got to cover this, and then we'll get back into some good stuff. But this is not good, folks. Kadena public announcement. This is the ticker KDA. Some of you guys might have been invested in this project. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys were exposed here. Not good. I'll show you the chart here next. We regret to announce that the Kadena organization is no longer able to continue business operations and will be ceasing all business activity and active maintenance of the Kadena blockchain immediately. We are tremendously grateful. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Bankrupt, bust, gone. And it looks like there was a lot of damages done too, folks. Check this out. Here's the Kadena chart. Down 60% today, down to 8 cents. Now, what was the all-time high? It was $28. That's right. Nearly $30 for Kadena back in 2021. The market cap got above 3 billion, got up to about 3.5 billion. I mean, this thing took a moonshot in 2021. And I remember when it came on the map, and there was a bunch of people, hyping this one up, pumping this one up. It was going to be the future. It was, all these goals and aspirations. And you see, not only did it, top out in 2021, it didn't even come close to achieving the high of 2021. The highest it traded in December of 24 was at $1.80. This thing had a run in 2021, got pumped up like crazy, all the way up to, goodness gracious, I mean, almost $30. And here it is at 8 cents, bleeding out 60% today. But this is going to be an ugly situation, folks. And this is what's so tough to keep up in the crypto space. And so when I see these fly-by-night companies and these new blockchains that pop up, and this is the new hot one on the block, it very well could be. And I've missed and left a lot of money on the table by not trying to find more of these low-cap gems and runners. Like, it's only been the last year when I started to really make moves on these that I would consider worth anybody's time, right? Back in the past, sure, maybe I threw a little bit around here and there. In the past year, we moved on Zebek, Stronghold. There's been a few others, DIA. There's been a few other low cap gem tickers. There, XRP meme coins ever since that came on. But other than that, I basically just stuck to my fundamental investments, which is what many of us continue to do, because you have track record, right? It's not this new kid on the block that's gotten pumped up. Everybody's loving it. And it's so difficult to keep up with even just a couple dozen projects in your portfolio, let alone some of these guys and gals, maybe some of that, maybe that might be you in the chat right now that have 50 or 100 different cryptos, right? And I don't believe in that. I don't have enough money for that. Maybe if I had more money, but I'm trying to grow my bag. And so I just stick to what we know and what's been proven. And now that I'm catching up on this Kadena situation, it's ugly, folks. Kadena spent $50 million in legal expenses fighting Cadix official. Now, I hadn't even heard about this until now. But instead of working collaboratively, they finally shut down after a huge loss in the EU General Court. Incredible day to a tier 1 blockchain that was once the 6th largest by market cap to have shut down. And it's crazy when you look back at historical snapshots of even 2018, the top of the 2018 cycle, the top of the 2021 cycle, it was projects like Kadena. I mean, I forgot that Kadena was at top 6 project in all of crypto at one time, right? And now on the list, it's down at number 702. Down to 702 from the number 6 blockchain, and it's on its way to dropping out of the top 1,000. You're going to have meme coins on the XRP ledger that'll be bigger than Kadena. What's the market cap? 28 million? I bet if I checked XRP memes, we probably have one that's bigger than that right now. XRP memes are down bad too. And we probably still have one that's bigger than Kadena now. I mean, this thing bled out. And this company, Cadix, I guess, was building on Kadena. And they turned. And they had an issue here with Kadena. They put out this tweet here earlier today. We are pleased to have contributed to the failure of Kadena. We stated from the start that not engaging the community and suppressing speech would have these effects. We will continue our litigation against Kadena and their directors as the legal entities are dissolved. So I'm saying you're going to see people in this space running as their companies go bankrupt. Investors are going to be left holding the bag. And these guys are going to be long gone. I didn't even know about this whole situation till today. Cadix put out the post here just a few hours ago. If you are interested in joining our class action lawsuit against Kadena, please comment below. We'll be reaching out individually to everyone who lost money due to the token decline and Kadena's directors' irresponsible behavior. I mean, goodness gracious, they were already after all these guys. Lawsuits dropping, bankruptcies taking place, tokens dropping 60% in a day. And this isn't even getting us into the digital asset treasury companies either, which I do think are going to cause us some problems in the crypto space too, because these digital asset treasury companies are going to get over leveraged as well. I'm not going to name any names, goodness gracious, but I was listening to Michael Saylor talk the other day. It blows me away every time I listen to him speak. I listen to people that I don't even necessarily agree with just because it's good entertainment. And I try to wrap my mind around Michael Saylor and what he's breaking down. I was listening to him on the Iced Coffee Hour or whatever that podcast is with Graham Stephan. I like that podcast. They get some good guests on, good conversations, I think. And so I was listening to Michael Saylor on that podcast, and I was listening to the podcast host, Graham Stephan, and his other guest, or the other host, I should say, co-host, and they're just letting Michael Saylor go on this crazy rant for basically the entire podcast, right? But we'll see. It might work out for MicroStrategy. It might work out for some of these companies. Even some of the XRP companies. I don't know, right? I haven't had time to go through the more than dozen public companies that have said that they're going to be adding XRP to their balance sheet. But I've been warning our community that just because these companies are putting XRP or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or Link or I don't know, maybe they're going to find something else to put on their balance sheet, Trump coin, doesn't mean that they're going to be a successful company. In fact, some of these companies, I believe, are using the digital asset treasury approach to try to save their company. Many of them might be doing so. And if they get over leveraged, if they get margin called, if they have issues, we're going to see a lot more of this, is what I'm warning of right now, folks. And I'm telling you, it's actually good. It's cleansing our space, but it comes with a lot of damage and it comes with a lot of pain. There's going to be digital asset treasury companies that go bust. There's going to be more crypto companies that go bust. Right? A lot of this space is trying to generate revenue and they're not getting real institutional adoption. And so there's only so much revenue to be generated. Those models are tough to build out, right? And so this is why you're seeing projects like this continue every single day to come and go in crypto. And this is a great example of also taking profit. There's people that probably made a 10x or more on Kadena and didn't sell off any, didn't take any profit at all. And I'm not saying that you need to do this with XRP or, I'm not telling anybody to do anything because I don't give financial advice. I'm just saying it's a great example of if you can't explain real adoption, if you can't show real adoption, if you can't show real utility, and you can't explain why a project is at a valuation, it might be time to de-risk just a little bit, maybe all the way, right? From a top 10 crypto, number 6, Kadena, down below 700, losing 60% in a day. So I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated, I guess, on that situation. We'll see how that unfolds. But it just worries me because apparently this lawsuit dealt with a few different things. There was like a copyright issue. There was a few other things. And from my understanding, Cadix was building a DEX or some sort of platform on top of Kadena. And Kadena management, wasn't being nice. I mean, they say right here, due the token decline and Kadena's director's irresponsible behavior. So I don't know what's going to come of this one, but part of cleaning up our space is seeing FTX happen, is seeing Celsius take place. And this is Rager here on X, and I think that he puts it in context perfectly. I warned you about Celsius months before. And by the way, I don't know if this guy actually called this. I'm just listing off what he's saying because I think that this is exactly where we're at, where there's going to be small regional banks fold. There's going to be some private equity. There's private credits breaking right now. We've already seen lenders to auto dealers and others going bust. That's just the start. Jamie Dimon himself saying, you don't just see one cockroach. Usually there's 100 or whatever his comments were, right? And now you're seeing it in the crypto space. We haven't seen any digital asset treasury companies yet, but I do think that you're going to see a couple. But it's cleansing our space and getting us ready for the bull run. Just like wiping out all the leverage too, by the way. He says, I warned you about Celsius months before it collapsed. I warned you about BlockFi. That was another one that went bust. BlockFi, you guys remember that one? I warned you about KID analysis. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I warned you about undifferentiated treasury companies run by event planners and influencers. And I think that that's kind of, leaning into what I'm saying about some of these treasury companies. We'll see how it pans out. You got treasury companies run by event planners and influencers. I love it. I love it. I warned you about MicroStrategy. Now I'm warning you, you're not bullish enough, which is what leads us into getting bullish about XRP and some other fundamental utility cryptocurrencies. We needed to wipe out the leverage on October 10th. We did it to ourselves, right? All of the DeFi oracles that failed, cascading liquidations as a result, and the largest liquidation event in the history of crypto. Some would actually say that it was a testament to DeFi working how it was intended to. It was an issue on price oracles, but I'm not going to get into the technical breakdown on that. The point being is it wiped out 19 billion of leverage, maybe even more. You get into these derivatives and you're talking about a shadow asset class that goes well into the quadrillions, which is why I'm saying we can't even tell you how bad it's going to get because we don't even know what the total market is. You're trying to find how much do we have in toxic derivatives in the system. You can come up with a good guess, and you can come up with conservative numbers well into the hundreds of trillions, right? But when you clean this up, when you see companies go bankrupt, this was a blockchain that went to the top 6, should never have probably been there, right? And we see this is all money that takes away from good utility projects like XRP and others, which we're not here to be in competition. We're here to see the whole space rise up together. What we don't want to see is all of this, negative things that have taken place and companies going bust and issues in the crypto space that hold us back and distract from the good fundamental utility. I'm not saying that I don't invest in some meme coins and play around like a degen, but I do with, 1% of my portfolio, and it doesn't take away from the fact that I've locked up my bag of XRP. And this leads me into legitimate utility, legitimate adoption that can be tracked, that's not speculation, that's not a fireside chat or a photo op, but real utility of the token. This is what leads us into the digital asset treasury companies locking us up. This is what leads into the ETFs locking it up. This is the press release from SBI Holdings, which is an investor in Ripple. And here is their announcement as far as their investment in the new digital asset treasury company, Evernorth. SBI Holdings today announced that it has invested in a PIPE private investment in public equity financing for US-based Evernorth Holdings, alongside key SBI Group partner, US-based Ripple Labs, and other investors. Evernorth is a company established to promote the adoption of the crypto asset XRP at an institutional scale. The company plans to list on the US NASDAQ market with the ticker XRPN. They're shooting for Q1 of 2026. Okay, that's the ticker. I'll let you know when it goes live. I am buying it, not financial advice, not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that I'm going to make a bet. Speaking of being a gambler and making bets for a living, I will be making a bet on that one. Not selling any XRP to do it though. Just going to add a little bag. Through a business combination with Armada Acquisition Corp., a special purpose acquisition company, commonly known as SPACs. You guys have seen those, have become very popular for taking companies public. And they're expected to raise a total of over $1 billion. SBI Group will contribute $200 million in cash. The proceeds will be used primarily to purchase XRP in the open market to build one of the world's largest public XRP treasuries. This treasury endeavor to continuously increase its asset value not only by holding XRP, but also by actively utilizing institutional lending and DeFi. Furthermore, all financial reporting will be independently audited by a major audit firm. That's key, guys. Where does the yield come from? We've been asking this of all the DeFi and yield providers, right? What's going on? We've been asking this of Tether. Can we get an independent audit that's not done by a shady accounting firm out of the Bahamas, please? Okay, Tether, please. I mean, goodness gracious. And so what you're looking for is something like this, where you get an independent major audit firm to confirm what's taking place. And that's what's going to happen with this company. With the leadership and everybody involved in how they're setting this out, this is why I'm going to be investing. Designed to ensure a high level of transparency and governance. XRP is one of the few digital assets with a clarifying regulatory framework in the US and a proven use case in global payments. This transaction will provide a simple, highly liquid investment opportunity in XRP through the reliable framework of a regulated, audited, and publicly listed company. We believe Evernorth's approach, which seeks returns not just through the market, but by participating in the growth of the entire XRP Ledger ecosystem through activities such as operating XRP Ledger validators, is extremely significant for accelerating the further adoption of XRP by institutional investors. The SBI Group has long promoted the practical use of XRP both in Japan and internationally, including through the establishment of SBI Ripple Asia, a joint venture with Ripple. This investment in Evernorth further strengthens those efforts and aligns with our group's strategy to build an innovative financial ecosystem centered on digital assets. The SBI Group will continue to make every effort to contribute to the development of the XRP Ledger ecosystem and the sound growth of the entire digital asset marketplace. They're going to bring 200 million of inflows into XRP. Let's go back to the numbers that I shared with you guys as far as November 2024. In that month, retail, primarily retail, and some institutional players, but all institutions mostly are moving OTC. So really, you're talking about bigger retail players that might be investing millions or tens of millions. But total, the net inflows for the month of November 2024 was 118 million. This digital asset treasury company alone is going to do $1 billion, most of that going to buy XRP, and you're going to get 200 million of investment from SBI alone. So this is why I say that the speculation is over as far as whether or not XRP is going to a new all-time high. The speculation is over whether or not the inflows are going to be into the billions. This is one company with 1 billion of investment capital. Not all of that, not 100% of that will go to buy XRP, but a lot of it will. Okay. So you're talking about upwards of $1 billion of inflows just from this one digital asset treasury company. Now, they might not do it all right in the first month. It might take some time, but this is why I say it's no longer speculation on whether or not the inflows are coming. We know they're coming. We know that the inflows will lead to an all-time high for XRP. Where we speculate is how high that price is going to be. Is it a $7 to $8 XRP in 1 month time frame? And by the way, the reason why I titled this 2025 XRP Supply Shock is because it happens this year, unless the government shutdown goes through the end of this year, unless something bad happens. And you always got to prepare for that, which is why I'm not telling anybody to go long 100x XRP because it's guaranteed to go. I'm saying the odds are highly likely, and we're not speculating on billions of inflows coming into XRP. And this is the important part, which leads to the supply shock, is it's XRP that gets locked up. This right here, $1 billion of investment capital, 200 million from SBI, locks up all that XRP. How much of it gets locked up in DeFi? We don't know the exact number. How much of it just gets locked up and held in a wallet? We don't know. But we know what the inflow and the investment's going to be. Will it happen over the course of a couple weeks, a couple months? We don't know, but we know that the inflows are on the way. We know that the XRP will be locked up. Now, I think one of the reasons why Bitcoin has, not gone higher is because some of the inflows into BlackRock and other ETFs have actually been in kind. This is taking place and it's not really being reported. But Eric Balchunas puts out a tweet here saying that some Bitcoin whales are doing custom creations of IBIT, which is trading in their physical Bitcoin for shares of the ETF. That's right, folks. They're taking Bitcoin that they might have held in their self-custody wallet, cold storage, held it in a hot wallet, held it on an exchange, and they're trading it in for shares of the BlackRock ETF for a variety of benefits after discovering that TradFi has its perks. BlackRock has done $3 billion worth of these. These are called portfolio trades and popular in bond land. Great piece on it from Emily Graffio. So you might be wondering, why is Bitcoin not going to new all-time highs despite some of the big inflows that we've seen? I mean, it did go up to 126, but people were calling for, 150,000, 200,000. I'm sure there were some Bitcoin bros calling for $1 million this year, but you have 3 billion of inflows into the BlackRock ETF that were in kind. And I think that that's because a lot of investors felt safe investing in Bitcoin before regulations, before the ETFs, because it was clear that it wasn't a security, it wasn't in a lawsuit. Versus XRP, it was tough to even get. So institutional investors, and just people that wanted to get exposure to XRP, in many cases weren't able to, or it was difficult, or they just didn't feel safe because of this lawsuit. So is there going to be a bunch of in-kind transactions or trades into these ETFs? I don't see it happening. Could there be some? Sure. Is Chris Larson, did he already move 50 million XRP yesterday to that new digital asset treasury company? Yes. Did all the FUDsters and the XRP FUD clickbaiters pick up on that transaction and say, oh, here's Chris Larson dumping on you again? Yeah, that was fake news. He's funding the new digital asset treasury company with an in-kind investment. But he's the only one that's listed on the S1 filing. If you go through the filing, you'll confirm. Actually, I do think that Ripple had some that they're going to contribute maybe in kind. And Chris Larson's going to do the 50 million. But SBI is doing 200 million cash. And a lot of the other investors are just doing cash, right? So we know, once again, we can confirm that you have hundreds of millions just from this one digital asset treasury company in inflows on the way. Now, we know, it's not speculation, that 118 million of inflows in November of 2024, over the course of 1 month, 118 million inflows equated to 105 billion of market cap growth. And I'm going to play this clip here. This is a video that I put out a month ago explaining this XRP 883x monthly multiplier. But when a lot of people are trying to pile in like they were in November, and you see 118 million of net inflows over the course of 1 month, and the market cap grew by 105 billion, that's a multiplier of 883. I mean, this is simple math. And Exactly. That was over the course of a month too. And so all I'm saying is let's keep it conservative. We have billions coming in, guaranteed. Like, it's not speculation anymore. It's not. What kind of multiplier can we use on that? Well, it's not crazy. It's not outlandish to use a 100x. In fact, it might be too bearish. I might need to raise my targets. And the more ETFs that get filed, and the longer our ETFs are delayed from going live, the higher I think that we need to raise these targets. We talked about it today. ProShares officially filing for the ProShares CoinDesk Crypto 20 ETF to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. The fund will track the CoinDesk Crypto 20 Index, giving investors exposure to the top 20 digital assets by market cap. I am not done. Eric Balchunas. There are now 155 crypto ETP filings tracking 35 different digital assets. Could easily end up seeing over 200 hit the market in the next 12 months. Total land rush. Here's the list by coin. Amazing work from James Seyfert. You're looking at 20, and this is filings since 2024. You're looking at 23 Solana ETFs, 23 Bitcoin, and 20 XRP. There are twice as many for XRP as there are Ethereum. So this is why I say we have the data from the Bitcoin ETFs, we have the data from the Ethereum ETFs. Ethereum's had ETFs, barely hit a new all-time high. Why? Well, there's not as many ETFs and clearly not as much demand. And I would add my piece, and my commentary would be maybe Wall Street knew that there wasn't that much demand for Ethereum, hence why there's twice as many ETF filings for XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana versus only 10 for Ethereum. And the inflows have proven that there wasn't as much demand for Ethereum. Now, is that going to be the case for XRP? Well, simple math would tell us it's not possible, considering there's twice as many ETFs for XRP as there are for Ethereum. Basket ETFs is 10, and all of those basket ETFs, nearly all of them, I believe, hold XRP. There might be a couple that don't, but most of them do. Litecoin has 5, AVAX has 4, Dogecoin 4, DOT 4, Say Token 3, HBAR 3, SUI 3, BNB, Cardano 3, Near 2, Chainlink 2, Trump Coin 2, INJ 2, Tron 2, Bitcoin ETH 2, Bonk, Sure, Hype, Atom, Crow 1, Axelar 1, Melania Coin. I'm telling you, the suits will sell anything. Melania 1. Bitcoin Cash, XLM 1, Pangu. Wall Street's going to sell you Pangu. And there's a reason why there's 20 XRP ETF filings, right? And there's going to be many more. There's going to be many other baskets. And remember, all of these that are spot, and including these basket, those are going to hold physical XRP or physical XRP. They will be backed by XRP. The futures ETFs are not backed by XRP or the underlying asset. So we have about 6 or 7 spot ETFs that are due to go live here. As soon as this government shutdown ends, the SEC starts signing off, and we have about 6 or 7 that we're going to be going live. These are spot XRP ETFs that are physically backed in kind with XRP. And all of that XRP gets locked up. Now, remember, one digital asset treasury company, Evernorth, is probably going to lock up hundreds of millions and bring in 500 million to $1 billion in inflows into XRP. Just that one digital asset treasury company. The BlackRock XRP ETF, which I do think will be added, right? So we have 6 that are ready to go live. Add the BlackRock one too. It's coming. The BlackRock XRP ETF could see 5 billion inflows in the first couple months alone. I mean, I'm going to have to look and see how long it took for the Ethereum ETF to reach that big of a number, but I think it wasn't that long. And we're going to see more demand for XRP ETFs. So between half a dozen spot XRP ETFs, we're talking about hundreds of millions and billions in inflows. So, like I said, I am not speculating on a 2025 XRP supply shock to the extent that the government shutdown ends, right? That is the one caveat, the one asterisk where I could be wrong. And what are the odds of this? Very unlikely. Most likely the government's going to open back up. What's going to be left of our government? I don't know. President Trump's going to do a deal. Congress is going to do a deal. We'll let them do the DC dance, and eventually they'll figure it out. We'll open back up. Our SEC will be there, most likely. I don't think that there's any plans to get rid of the SEC. And you're going to see the ETF tidal wave hit. And we're looking right here, total, probably 155 to 200 in the next 12 months of ETFs. Already 155 filed. And this is why I encourage, people ask me, how do you remain still so bullish on XRP? At this point, it's just data. It's not speculation. It's not a matter of the only, variable that I can't really pin down with that great of certainty is when the government shutdown ends and when these ETFs go live. But mark my words, XRP will pump before those ETFs go live. We saw it take place for Bitcoin. We saw it take place for Ethereum. I also believe that you're going to see a strong pullback by the rumor sell the news on the day that the ETFs go live. So be prepared for that. But you are going to see conservatively billions, 5 billion, 10 billion or more of net inflows coming into XRP through digital asset treasuries, through ETFs, through me and you, Joe Blows, throwing our last few pennies at XRP, every last little bit that we got, to me and you swiping our Gemini XRP card and earning 4% back when we go fill up the truck. That's driving supply shock on XRP. All of the other I could list off dozens of other catalysts, use cases, and adoption. For crying out loud, one of my best and favorite examples is the fuzzy wuzzy penguins. For some of you guys that are new here, you're wondering, what the heck did I just say? I'm talking about meme coins. I'm talking about meme NFTs. Pixelated pictures of penguins. Fuzzy wuzzy penguins. Hopefully nobody launches that ticker, okay? If somebody launches that ticker or that NFT project, I don't endorse it. I'm just trying to make an example. The degens are locking up XRP and meme coins every single day. And it's all XRP that can't be used for cross-border payments, their derivatives market, some of these other utilities. And we just talked about it in this morning's first update of the day, the massive integration that we got with the XRP ledger this morning, right? And so, folks, don't wait around. I'm going to let you guys know about our sponsor real quick, and then let's get into Q&A. I Trust Capital allows you to invest in crypto today through your IRA or retirement account. Roll over the 401k into a traditional Roth or SEP IRA and get that account funded today using my promo code Rector9 to get your $100 funding bonus. You're also going to be taking advantage of institutional grade custody in their premium custody account as well. So you can invest inside your retirement or come into their premium custody account as well. Award-winning US-based support, low cost, no monthly fees. I actually encourage you guys to, if you want to go check it out, go look at their reviews, the amount of awards. I mean, guys, I don't have any other sponsors. I Trust Capital is the only sponsor I have for this channel. And one of the main reasons that I took this on is because they've been in business for so long and they can help Americans get exposure through their retirement accounts today. And so we got them plugged in, linked up down below. The promo code's Rector9. I appreciate your support and thank you once again for being here. If you haven't already, let's like this video. Make sure you have subscribed, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. And let's go rapid fire with the Q&A after I show you these charts too. Altcoins hit cycle level bottom. This is the third MACD cross in 8 years. Real bull run coming soon. XRP is going to lead the charge. Alts have never been this oversold. MACD bullish cross forming again. 2 out of 3 times it triggered alt season explosions. Folks, we're here. We're here. Let's go rapid fire Q&A. Appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you so much for being here. We got a lot of super chats that came in. So I'm going to go rapid fire with it. I want to get to everybody. We managed to get through our update in less than an hour. That's great. Let's get into it. Thank you so much. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Here we go. Cameron, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. DAG update, my second largest holding to XRP. Also, why aren't they listed on larger exchanges and yet crappy meme coins are? That's a good question. Constellation DAG's going to have to pay up to get on some of these exchanges, right? And I know that they just built out their DEX too, so that's good. But yeah, I've been saying that getting on tier 1 exchanges is going to be big for DAG and other projects as well too. You just need it to be easy for folks to on-ramp into your project. If you don't have it, it's a serious burden and hurdle. Like retail, a lot of people that are trying to invest in crypto and are here to throw some money around, they're here, but they're doing it through centralized exchanges. They're using Robinhood, they're using Coinbase, they're using basic platforms. And it really does suck to get listed on those platforms. It costs a lot of money, but those are checks that have to be cut if you want to see significant adoption for your project. And it's an investment that has to be made, calculated, but it has to be done. And so I hope to see Constellation listed on tier 1 exchanges. Yeah. They're going to have to cut a big check for that, but it has to be done. Jeff, thank you for the 10 spot. Jack J, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, my friend. Market multiplier cells didn't have the coming 10 billion inflows. Dennis, thank you, sir. It's a great point. You know, a lot of people are capitulating right now on XRP and they're just dismissing, ignoring, or distracted. They don't see the data that we're presenting. And other people are talking about this as well too, but we really honed in on it because it's just so important. It's not speculation. It's not clickbait. I know you want hopium. I'm going to deliver you hopium, but it's going to be factual. It's going to be backed by facts and data. I'm here to deliver the hopium. 100%. But it's always going to be backed. It's always going to be backed. And we have it. When does the government shutdown end? We don't know. How long after the government shutdown ends and then the ETFs go live? We don't know. Could be a week, could be 2. We'll see. Let's get it going again here. Jack J, thank you for the 50 spot, sir. That's a big one. Appreciate the 50. Not sure I'll still be on here. I have an early flight tomorrow. Just saying thank you for your leadership and positivity, Jack. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Hope you have a safe flight. And appreciate you. You got to get the Wi-Fi connection so you can watch us while you're on the flight there. That in-flight Wi-Fi is so clutch now. Yep. Staying tapped in. Brian, it's amazing being able to watch the markets. Especially for us degens that are in active trades and you're taking the flight. You got a few hour flight wondering if you've been liquidated or not. Brian Orego, thank you, sir. Appreciate the super chat. 1970 legend, thank you, sir, for a big 50 spot. Always showing support, brother. Appreciate you. I still say HBAR ETFs will get approved within the rest of them. I gambled and added to my bag again. I know there are more tokens out there, out now than when it hit its high, but I've got a feeling. Could just be gas, though. We are so close. Absolutely, brother. I'm still very bullish on HBAR. I need to get my bag of HBAR back. I sold a little bit of HBAR that I had at a loss during the liquidation event to cover my butt. So I did not come out unscathed. I did have to, my trade wasn't liquidated, but I had to liquidate a little bit of HBAR, a little bit of XLM. My XLM was in profit. My HBAR was in the red. So I just took the loss on that one, sold off a little XLM, and I was able to save my XRP long. But I'm going to be looking back, looking to acquire back some of that HBAR that I had to sell off because I didn't want to sell it. I just was, in a panic and had to cover my butt. So that was a mistake that I made. And so I like to share those moments with you guys to let you know that, yeah, we win some, we lose some, and we always like to share that with you guys. But HBAR, the fundamentals are great. The ETFs are now going to be streamlined. In 1970, it's such a great point that I need to share with everybody. As you saw on that list, there's all these ETFs for these cryptos that have showed up in the last 30 to 60 days. And so I was getting concerned here recently before the SEC put out that generic listing standard that a lot of these ETFs weren't going to go live till next year. It was going to be a year or two before we'd see some of these ETFs. But now with the generic listing standard, it streamlines the process for all of these other altcoins to get ETFs. I mean, for crying out loud, we're going to get an ETF for Melania, Trump Coin, and Pengu. So, yeah, the HBAR, I think that we read off, there's 3 for HBAR. Let's go back to the list. HBAR 3. Yeah, 3 ETFs for HBAR. I don't know how many of those are spot, though. And that's the big thing. We need to see the spot. Spot ETFs are really where you get that supply shock. As I titled tonight's episode, we know an XRP supply shock's coming this year as long as those ETFs go live, the digital asset treasuries, the DeFi. I mean, for crying out loud, Zaman just integrated with Flare. So it's going to be just one click away or maybe a few clicks away from you being able to basically mint FXRP, right? Take your XRP on your Zaman wallet and mint FXRP and go into the Flare ecosystem, locking up your XRP to go into Flare DeFi. Zaman has billions of XRP on their platform. It's the most popular hot wallet for the XRP ledger, I believe, by a long shot. And so as more and more of these platforms uphold and others simplify the process, I mean, even when I was talking with Jim from Caleb and Brown, they don't do any DeFi, they don't do any leverage, which is one of the reasons why I feel so safe over there. I'm not worried about them being the next FTX because they're not over leveraged, they're not doing DeFi right now, but they're waiting for it to come and eventually they will integrate it. And as all of these platforms make it just one click, start earning 5% on your XRP today, one click. That's just XRP that's getting locked up. Now, a lot of us weren't going to sell it, but it makes it easier not to sell these assets when you can be earning yield on it in the meantime, especially in kind. If you really believe in the project long term, then you just want to stack up more of the asset. Okay. Let's get back here to our super chats from Mrs. Claus. Thank you. Hi, Zach. What places hold insurance on your XRP if you don't have a cold wallet? I know Jake's company does, but you have to have a certain amount. I know Coinbase has 250,000 if you pay them $300 a month. Anyone else? Yeah. Well, Mrs. Claus, it's very important. If you're ever curious, you can ask your provider directly what the insurance policies are. They are so specific to each platform. For example, Fireblocks, which is the institutional grade custody provider for iTrust Capital, my sponsor, and also for Caleb and Brown, another platform that I use, they both use Fireblocks along with BNY. Many other banks and institutions use them, but they have specific insurance policies with each one of those platforms that they're partnered with. So the insurance that iTrust Capital is going to have is going to be different from Caleb and Brown. and they might have additional policies on top of what Fireblocks might have. And so it's really a case-by-case basis. If you ever are curious, just ask your platform what is covered. The big thing too is just knowing that you're not going to be a creditor if the company goes bankrupt. So knowing that you're not going to be standing in line with creditors like everybody was for FTX. So with Caleb and Brown, we've confirmed that they do have that bankruptcy remote protection. And it's very important to understand all of these platforms, their service offerings, what coverages they have. There's a lot of emphasis that's been put on this lately because more and more people are starting to see, for example, all of those people that are rolling their Bitcoin into the BlackRock ETF, they're willing to pay a fee to BlackRock to have their assets stored in institutional grade custody and to have, BlackRock as the provider of, the services for managing those assets going forward. They're willing to pay a price for that, which is why I love, right, that both of our platforms that we got plugged in here, I Trust Capital, that's free institutional grade custody, and Caleb and Brown is also free institutional grade custody. So if you just wanted to use them for their custody, go ahead, right? If you're not trading on their platform, you're not going to get charged fees. You only get charged a transaction fee when you go to trade, right? So if you move assets in and then move assets out, you're not going to be hit with any fees on Caleb and Brown, right? And that's why I like that as a nice community resource for folks that don't trust themselves to do self-custody. And I appreciate, I've seen Jim and many others from Caleb and Brown say and show that they support clients actually having self-custody along with, partnering up with Caleb and Brown, right? And so it's a combination of all the above for what I do, right? I keep multiple bank accounts. I have multiple banks, multiple exchanges. I have, you guys know how it goes, right? I got multiple options. I got cash. I got silver. I got seeds, right? I got centralized exchanges. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I don't trust a lot of people in this space, okay? But at the end of the day, you got to get transactions done. You got to do business. And so we conduct business. We understand the limitations, the capabilities, who's going to service us best. And the competition now is heating up for people bringing yield to us, for people bringing service to us. That's why it's a great place to be in the XRP community right now. A lot of people want to bring yield to the XRP community. A lot of people want to service the XRP community. We just helped Gemini significantly, in my opinion, as they went live with their IPO right after they launched the XRP credit card. And I'm loving that product. I'm just passively stacking XRP, 4% back on gas, which is nice up in my neck of the woods where I'm paying $4 for a gallon. I paid $4.50 for diesel the other day. Cost me over $100 to fill up the truck. 4% back on that. 3% back on dining. So if I take my wife out to dinner, we go through a coffee stand, I can swipe the card in, earn 3% back on dining out. And then for groceries, I've started to use it on groceries for the last couple trips. 2% back on groceries. And that's just passive accumulation of XRP. Right? So that's why I say, go through all of the service providers, ask them directly, always be upfront. You want to make sure that these platforms too are getting independently audited for reserves. And yeah, you never should feel like you can't ask your service provider, whoever it is, right, what the deal is. Hey, what's the deal, man? What's going on here, right? And I think it's important for me. I've always said, I'm going to share with you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly, whether or not I'm partnered up with the platform, whether I have a sponsor or not, right? I'm always going to put our community first. We're always going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you who I use, who I love, who we don't trust, but maybe still use, right? And this space is in a cleansing right now. So we are emphasizing understanding your counterparty risk should be top priority right now in the cryptocurrency space, even outside of crypto. Understanding your counterparty risk when it comes to your banks. So yeah, hopefully, I Mrs. Claus, I don't know if I was able to specifically answer your question certain enough, right, with an exact certainty. But those are a couple places that we use that we like that have free institutional grade custody. There's varying levels of insurance though, right? And so always just ask your provider. A lot of them are hesitant to show you the policy fully, but you can always get some clarity on that, at least even if the insurance policy is under NDA. You could, just ask your broker, just ask your person, just ask the exchange, hey, what's the deal here, right? And never keep your eggs in one basket. That's one thing that I always live by. Not on one cold storage, not on one wallet, not on one exchange, not on one bank. I don't have just one currency to transact in. I have God's money too. I have seeds. I started some broccoli starts about a month or so ago. I got little broccolis going, but I don't know if they're going to make it, little cool season broccoli growing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to barter with that. Okay. I got a couple pumpkins though. We did grow some pumpkins. I threw a pumpkin in, I bought a little start. I was late to the game, so I had to buy a start. So I planted that in my raised bed. And then my wife and my daughter decided that they were going to have a fairy garden in the corner of my yard. My nice manicured, perfect yard. And they decided that they were going to take it over with the fairy garden. That was first step. And then the second step was they planted pumpkin seeds in the fairy garden. Well, now I got a large swath of my beautiful yard that's been overtaken by pumpkins. But that's okay, because it makes the kids and it makes the wife happy, right? So happy wife, happy life. I'll have to repair the lawn in the spring. It'll give me something to do outside, which is what I like to do in my free time, is go take the kids outside and turn up some dirt, throw some seeds down, and see what happens. Okay. Now, let's get back into it. Appreciate you guys. Joker, thanks for everything, Zach. Keep up the good work. We all appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Chosen One Collecting. Florida Panthers beat the Bruins. Let's go. Is that hockey? Hockey, huh? I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan. Haven't watched hockey in a while, but I did love the Avalanche. It was one of my favorite sports to play. I was able to play hockey till it got to physical contact, and then I had to quit. My doctors wouldn't let me play physical contact sports like football or hockey. But we tore it up on the ice up until physical, until you could hit. Right when it was about to get good, I had to quit hockey. So that was a bummer. And then I always wanted to play football too. I had a lot of FOMO. Saw all the boys doing football and having fun. In my freshman year, we had to do one arts class, right? You got to do one arts. I wasn't going to do arts. I wasn't going to mess around in the art class. And so I wasn't going to do choir. But I was in band already. So I decided I'm going to do 1 year of band. And I played the trombone and we did band. And I just remember having so much FOMO being, the band guy with the trombone up at the top row, belting it out, just wishing that I could be on the field with the boys. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, one more point on sports. Our Mariners, I commented last night. I said watching the Mariners is more stressful than having a 50x leverage trade opened up. I was sweating watching the Mariners. I mean, I haven't watched a game all year, and then I've been tuning into the last playoff games for the Mariners. And I hadn't even watched any of this series with the Blue Jays, but I watched the game last night, and like right away, I'm like, my stress levels are like pumping. I'm like, what's going on? It's been so long since we made it to the World Series. And I couldn't believe it when that guy smacked that home run right out of the park. I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable. Our Mariners were so close. So my sports team has been knocked out. So I came to watch sports for like a week. And now I'm stuck paying the Fox monthly subscription of $20 or $30, whatever that is. I don't know. I might watch some college football. We were talking about hosting a Super Bowl party too. Maybe I'll host a Super Bowl party. Sorry. Back to crypto, back to markets. Let's go. Cheers, everyone. I hope you're having a good night out there. Or it might be day, depending on where you're coming from. Where's everybody at in the chat? Let us know where you're tuning in from. God bless you. Thank you. I think I missed Nick Patterson's. I saw Nick dropped a super chat too. I'm going to have to go back on that one. Okay. I guarantee the strategy is designed so 1940 Act XRP ETFs will buy Evernorth hand over first. Several 1940 mixed XRP were issued. Yeah, and that's possible for them to do, right, Dennis? The 1940 ETFs, which is the one that was filed by, oh goodness, what's the name? Rex Osprey. The Rex Osprey ETF that's live now, it's not 100% backed by XRP. They can actually hold treasuries, cash, and other future products, leverage products, as well as spot XRP2. So that's they have a little bit more flexibility. They would be able to add that ticker XRPN for Evernorth. They'd be able to add that ticker most likely to that ETF. Yeah, I don't see why that'd be a problem, Dennis. That's a great point. Boy, this is getting exciting, folks. When do we go back to $3.20? In the next month. Yeah, in the next month. I mean, this government shutdown stalling things up, but we probably run, leading up to the government shutdown. The insiders will get the scoop. They'll start pumping it. Yeah, I mean, I would say in the next month, easily. 1970 Legend, thank you for the 50 spot. Grok says all three HBAR ETFs are spot. That's great. That's fantastic, Legend. Thank you for looking that up. Mrs. Claus, thanks. So I'm a wee bit afraid of Coinbase. Jake always says move it off of there, and I'm afraid of cold wallets after that poor guy got hacked and afraid of pushing the wrong button. LOL, it's a bit scary for newbies. And this is why, folks are going to be happy to pay BlackRock the fee, right? People are going to be happy to be charged for custody, be charged for performance fees too, right? The 2 and 20 model that Wall Street has everybody in. A lot of people are going to be happy to do that. But once again, that's why I appreciate Caleb and Brown. They're helping out a lot of people. Typically, Caleb and Brown built their business off of serving high net worth individuals and people who were moving around big bags. That's why they were so attractive and got acquired by SwiftX, the largest exchange in Australia, is because they had this US customer base, high net worth individuals. And a lot of you guys, led me and told me, hey, Zach, you got to check out this platform. And we've fallen in love with them. But I really appreciate that they offer free institutional grade custody, that personalized broker that can help you set up the wallets too, right? They encourage self-custody with them as well. But, either way too, a lot of people are going to be doing it through their IRA. That's why I was so adamant on getting iTrust Capital. So excited to get them tapped in as a community resource. Invest your retirement accounts in crypto today. Don't wait for an ETF. Don't pay BlackRock the 2 and 20. Which it's not even going to be that much probably. BlackRock's been entering the game into the crypto ETFs with lower management fees to entice more people to invest with them. And despite coming in with low fees on their Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock brought that up to about 100 billion assets under management. And it's now their most profitable ETF that they have. More profitable than ETFs that have been around for 20 plus years. This is why I'm so bullish. I hope that you guys can tell, there's no fear over here. Zero. There's no concern over here. Now, I'm not talking about XRP going to $10,000 today. I saw somebody commented on my video earlier today saying that apparently XRP was supposed to be at $1 million by midnight. And I commented back and I said, oh no. Don't tell me another TikToker put out a $1 million XRP by this date prediction. Oh no. But goodness gracious, it's just so simple. We keep it conservative. Using simple math, and you're at a double-digit XRP. You're at a $20 to $30 XRP with ease. Yeah. But yeah, Mrs. Claus, I mean, you know, we love I Trust Capital. We got them tapped in now. We love Caleb and Brown. We love it. You know, these platforms are coming to service us. And you're going to see many more too. This is just getting started. Gen X Villagers, thank you for the 5 spot. Zach, won't these banks like SBI, the ETFs, and the treasury companies just buy XRP from Ripple or OTC, meaning it won't move the price very much? Well, there's only so much XRP that's in the OTC markets as well too. And, you know, this is where I think we find out how little XRP is actually floating and available outside of OTC on the public exchanges and order books. And I also think that we find out how little there actually is to move around OTC as well too, because a lot of these platforms are going to be locking it up. So even if they're getting it OTC, they're still driving a supply shock on XRP. And by the way, I need to emphasize how simple this math is. There's only tens of billions of XRP that could be purchased, maybe even a lot less, from public exchanges and even XRP that Ripple could sell off. But we're already talking about one digital asset treasury company is bringing in $1 billion. $1 billion worth. Now, at current prices, $1 billion worth is going to lock up a few hundred million. A little bit more than 300 million at current prices. Right? But as you get dozens of these companies, as you get more of these ETFs, doesn't matter, you know, they're going to be buying it OTC, they're going to be buying it public, they're going to be buying it wherever they can get it from. And I believe too that this 2025 through 2026, really the 2025 pump probably, right? Because we're looking at this taking place this year. You know, even up to $10 gets a lot of retail out. Up to $20 and $30 gets a lot of retail out. So, you know, they're going to be acquiring it from OTC. They're going to be acquiring it off the open markets. That's what the announcement said from Evernorth. So how much is there in the open markets OTC? I don't think it's tens of billions. And so that's why this supply that's available, it gets eaten up very quickly. And it's probably far less than what many have been led to believe, than what's reported on CoinMarketCap, etc. Yeah. Uh, 1970 Legend shares a link to Grok. That's good. Thank you, Legend. Dennis, Evernorth must buy only from exchange order books. Is that the case? I'll look into that and we'll talk about that in tomorrow's update. I'll make a video on that to bring the point home for some folks. Oh, that's a real bummer. I can't seem to find... Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, there's Nick. I just overlooked it. Nick, my apologies, my friend. Nick Patterson, big hundo. Another week goes by and more great XRP news. Hashtag not worried about price. Keep stacking XRP. Hashtag XRP bullish. Nick, I always appreciate you, my friend. Always bringing that bullish energy. And we are too, right? We're not stopping. We're not stopping. Dennis says yes. I don't see a link for iTrust. It should be at the top of the description of our video. Should be at the top. Oh. Yeah, that's... My apologies, guys. The promo code's Rector9. Let me see here. Yeah, we have the wrong description. We have the wrong description in this YouTube live. Let me fix that. I have no idea why that's taking place. Okay, so I just saved the proper description. You may have to back out of the video and then come back in for that description to upload. but the I Trust Capital and all of the most recent links and everything should be linked up down below. But also, everything's at my website, zachrector.com. I make it very easy for you guys. So please just use the official website. Don't try to contact me through these platforms. Just go to the website, reach out through there. You can set up a one-on-one call through there. We got the XRP family merch and all of the other community resources available over there for you guys, okay? Eric says the aliens are still coming for our XRP. Absolutely, my friend. The aliens are coming. The intergalactic reserve currency. Christy says, we are all in, ready to put a dent in the universe, and that's not $5. I agree with you, Christy, 100%. And that's why this multiplier has been so eye-opening for us and given us so much conviction in $100 XRP plus. Maybe plus, right? You might add a few more digits onto that one. Yep, get your extra $100 at I Trust 2 Flying O. That's a good point. If you guys use my promo code Rector9, you'll get that additional $100 funding bonus as well too. And that's for your premium custody account or the IRA product. And you can talk with them if you got a 401k, you want to roll it over. I know, the employers can match your 401k contributions in some of your guys' companies, and that's great. I really believe in taking advantage of that. That's awesome, right? Free money. Mine as well. But I also believe in getting exposure to crypto right now and not exposure to a lot of the products that they sell in those 401ks and push you into. So yeah, I also believe in you can, and this is the thing is, right, you could cash out a portion, you could, or not cash out, roll over, right? You could roll over a portion of your 401k to get invested into crypto through a crypto IRA at iTrust, and then keep contributing to your 401k through your work, right? But just say, hey, I'm going to need to pull. I mean, I don't think that there's any limitations to that. You'd have to talk with the folks at iTrust. Could you pull 90% of your 401k, still leave a little bit, leave a little bit in there, and then continue adding to it? I don't know if that's possible. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. But I mean, that's what I would be doing, because then you could still contribute to your 401k. They'd still match, but you pull out, 50%, 90%, whatever you want to get, right? Some folks only want to get 10, 20, 30% exposure to crypto. Some of us degens, other than precious metals and a few other investments. I mean, obviously I have a lot in my businesses. I invested a lot in equipment back in the day. I have other things too, but a lot of XRP, a lot of crypto makes up my net worth. Robinhood locks accounts. Yeah, I don't trust Robinhood at all. I don't use Robinhood anymore. I got to find out a platform that I'm going to use for buying the XRPN stock. And one of the things I'm looking at doing is using our partner KKOS Lawyers. That's Mark Kohler's law firm. Having them set up a backdoor mega Roth for me next year, where I'd be able to contribute more than just the max contribution of $7,000, $8,000, right? They got a structure for a backdoor mega Roth where you could do up to $69,000, $70,000 this year. And so get in touch with them. They're linked up down below. They're the tax, legal, and estate planning link. In fact, I mean, this is my trust right here, actually, that they just sent us in the mail. And so this week, me and my wife are actually going to take our binder. That's what's in this big box. We're going to take this binder to get it notarized. And this is our revocable living trust that we've set up. So I have LLCs. We're going to do additional LLCs and S-Corps using Mark Kohler's law firm, KKOS. And then we did this estate plan right here, the revocable living trust. And I would encourage you guys to go look at their fees for their services. They're very fair, very competitive, and very reputable business. Mark Kohler, thought leader when it comes to estate planning in the space. Had him on for a private Discord call with our Discord community, but I'm going to be having him back on the YouTube show as well too. So they're linked up down below at the tax, legal, and estate planning. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation through their Calendly link, and see if it's the right fit for you. But they can set up LLCs, entities, and then we just had them do our estate planning as well. They also have a network of accountants across the country as well too that you can get tapped in with. Yeah. The law firm name is KKOS Lawyers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, guys, you've seen me. I mean, I come from nothing, and I've just been building this all up. And by the time I started making content in 2021, I had my business, I had a few things going, I had a little bit in investments, but I was in no place to be filing, making additional entities other than for my main businesses. I was in no position to be creating a family trust. I didn't have a family in 2021, right? That, basically, I started making content right as I met my wife. And so, you've watched me build all this with you guys together, from running my bank account negative to buy XRP to, now we're establishing this for our children. And this is just a start too. This won't even get into, some of the other things that we'll do for estate planning, for charity work. Just really excited. I pray every night, and I just thank God for the opportunity. And it was a pleasure working with Mark Kohler's law firm, being able to secure that. And we're going to go get that finalized this week with my wife. Yeah. And then eventually I'll probably do a revocable living trust. Or sorry, not a revocable, an irrevocable trust. Right. The way that we've set this up with our trifecta model, I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen it, go watch Mark Kohler's videos on the trifecta model. Really great structure. You have, your W-2 income if you have a job, or your, LLCs or business on one side, your income. You have your investments on the other side, and then it all flows down into your revocable living trust. And then below the revocable living trust is where he has most of his clients set up a structure where that's where the irrevocable trust goes. That's where you put the family farm. That's where you put intellectual property, heirlooms, family, estate property that's going to never be sold. It's never going to be sold. Maybe you're going to put gold, silver. Maybe you're going to put XRP in the irrevocable trust, right? So, I'm excited. I'll keep you guys updated on that process, and we'll have Mark Kohler on the show here soon as a guest. Dynasty Trust. Yep. We're going to do a lot. Yep. Zach, you motivate us all. Great therapy for me. You always bring the energy. Christy, thank you. It's a pleasure. Can't wait to see all of you guys again here at the next meetup, wherever that may be. We're going to get some more in-person events going next year again. Obviously, you guys know we're expecting baby number 3, so I'm laying low until then. And then we'll be back on the road again next year, heavy, big time. Yeah, absolutely. Starting back over from chasing around some toddlers to back with the newborn. It's going to be a good time. All right. Okay, guys, I've had an absolute pleasure with everybody tonight. Just under an hour and a half. I think it's a good time to wrap up. Once again, all of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. Couldn't do it without your support. If you appreciate what we're doing here, make sure you're helping us out by liking our content, sharing us out far and wide. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates and watching this market. A little bit of a pullback today presents another buying opportunity well below our fundamental value on XRP and other good utility digital assets. They want to give us the buying opportunity. We'll eat it up. The market wants to panic because Trump's going to do 155% tariffs on China. We'll buy that dip. And we're going to buy the alien dip too. We are not going to stop accumulating these assets. The fundamentals so clear. The data's, irrefutable. And at this point, we're just remaining conservative with our assumptions on where XRP is going. And that in and of itself is a life-changing opportunity. I appreciate all of your support. ZachRector.com. Sign up through Patreon to get access to our Discord. And I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you.